Hi, I'm Danger Dan Jers, the host and GM of the D&D Real-Play podcast, D&D Dark. Join us on Wednesdays for an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure, starring some of history's most infamous monsters.
I'm Ben Magnet. I play Mary Frankenstein, our barbarian.
I am Daniel Cruz. I am playing Imhotep the Mummy, our cleric.
I'm Jordan, and I play Larry Talbot, a lycanthropic warlock.
I am Grayson, playing Jack Griffin, the Invisible Man, the party's rogue.
I am Aaron. I play the Phantom of the Opera, our bard.
For more information, go to dndarkpodcast.com and listen to us anywhere you find podcasts.
You've read the books. You've learned the rules. You've played the games. And so is your mom. Just making sure you're paying attention. Now, it's time for something completely off base. From the same guys who haven't done anything exciting yet are the paladins of podcast, Rob and Potato. Listen in as they talk about all things related to pen and paper games, challenge rules, and go off script. This is the high fantasy commentary you didn't ask for, but your mom did. This is the Epic Table Audio Show.
What's up, everybody, to another installment of the Epic Table Games audio show, starring the Paladins of Podcast. I did it right this time. Rob and Potato.
What's up, Potato?
Wow, tongue twister on that one. My goodness.
For sure, brah. How you doing today?
I am doing well. My brother the other day got the game Elden Ring. That game is pretty brutal.
I heard it's fun and tough, like Dark Souls.
Oh yeah, the fact that it's open world, get out of here. It's definitely a peak in their franchise for sure.
Nice. So,
what have you been doing recently, my dude?
Considering firing my office manager. No, because I don't have an office manager, it's me, and I forgot to charge my headphones again. So,
gotta fire yourself.
For sure, bro. Anyhow, I got you blaring through my speakers, hoping the microphone on my end doesn't pick it up, but it probably will. So for the love of me, I'm going to hate this episode and its content I want to talk.
That's terrible, man.
So terrible. Now, the big thing. This is cool. I got this book in the mail, sent you a picture of it, and you sent me a picture of the book right back.
Yes, I did.
So, lo and behold, we both got it. You want to tell the audience what it is?
Oh, yeah. It is the Marvel Multiverse Roleplaying game. Playtest rulebook, my dude.
That is right. Now, a few things to talk about right off the bat. Things that we discussed shortly before hitting record. It's a playtest, so things are liable to change.
That's right.
Usually when it comes to a playtest, you're supposed to give feedback. And we haven't looked into all of the feedback requirements yet, but it is essentially there for us to provide feedback.
Yeah.
To some degree. However, we ordered ours off of Amazon, and it was $10. So it's not like we were invited to do this. We are opting to do this.
Oh yeah. We are volunteering in big time, man. Like, my goodness.
For sure. Now, we've had a chance to sort of flip through the book. I will admit I have not looked into it as much as I wanted to. I've been a little preoccupied with life in general.
Same.
It is what it is. But we did notice a few things right off the bat, and one of them you made a comment of. I'd like you to sort of reiterate that, and it's about recycling some of the material that you've just seen right off the bat.
Yeah. When I was flipping through the pages, some of the artwork I've noticed were pieces of artwork that I've seen already, whether it be a cover of a magazine or some other media that they've been publishing. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, that's actually a really good idea. Instead of just making all new artwork, why not take what you already did and just upcycle it? Even give it some polish, edit it a little bit to fit the book a bit better.
Right. And I like that you say upcycling, because as everybody knows, I've got a huge soft spot for old school classic Marvel by TSR. And it seems like they took some of the same flavor and essence and upcycled that. Not necessarily, they didn't recycle it, they didn't rehash it, they retooled it, they took it, they kept the feel and viability of it.
That's right.
Upcycled. Which I dig. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the first things I noticed right off the bat when it comes to some of the things that they upcycled that I can see the difference. And as you and I were talking earlier, I also noticed that they seem to have kept a lot of their old school vibes when I mentioned the 1994 Fleer set cards, which you said is before your time. It kind of dates you as a young'un.
Yeah, a little bit. Because what year was that again?
1994.
Yeah, that's just a year. Yeah, before me. So I'm surprised I didn't grow up with these in the old hand-me-down drawer.
A year before you. Still, you're in 95.
Yeah.
I don't ever think about the difference here because it's astonishing. But it makes me feel old, by the way.
Well, you know what makes me feel kind of old too? You know how back in the day when you want to get your first beverage, hard beverage at the store, you get flagged, you want to see your card and this and that before you go off with your 6-pack, whatever, so you can go with the boys.
Sure.
Nowadays, whenever they go to look at your card, all they're looking to see is if the year starts with 19. Starts with 19, you're good. Because we're so far in.
I don't even get carded anymore.
Like you should have to be born in 2002 to even be like, oh hey, maybe you're not old enough, but let me go check your card.
Yeah, I don't know.
Makes me feel so old.
I'll go to get drinks. I got 4 kids, right? They look at me with 4 kids. They're like, I don't even care if you're old enough. You need this.
Right here, I give you another one. It's on the house.
So I got a funny story for you. I think everybody's going to enjoy this. My youngest daughter is 5. And apparently her entire scale of timelines is skewed. So driving to or from wherever, it doesn't matter. My wife is in the car, and we'll call her number 3. She's the third out of all 4. And so number 3 says, Dad, when you were younger and the dinosaurs were around, I'm like, whoa, 3, hang on. When I was younger, the dinosaurs were not around. They went extinct way before the 80s, honey. Way before. But they're old and you're old. Yeah, okay, we're not on a winning streak with this one, number 3. Considering that earlier today, she also told me I can eat fast because I take big bites because I have a big mouth. You know what? Not a shining moment, number 3. You're downgrading your favorite status.
Oh,
you'll see what it looks like on Christmas. I guarantee it. No, I just joking. It's one of those things, like the darndest things that kids say.
Oh yeah, man. Their thought process is so impressive. Like, oh, that's what you really thought,
huh? Absolutely, and I guarantee you, as a father, when your daughter says something like, "Hey, you're old as the dinosaurs," I'm going to take that over, "Hey, I want to go out on a date with this guy." So,
yeah.
Cherish it while you can at this point.
Oh, heck, I would actually lean into it. I'm like, well, that's why they're no longer here. I ate them.
Yeah, you see, I've gained a little bit of extra weight. So she's like, is that why you're fat? Like, my daughter has no filter, dude. You know that.
I love kids, though, man. At my wife's work, one of the kids said that babies come out of the mommy's feet.
Not where I thought you were going with that one.
Yeah, that's an odd one. Yeah, that's an odd one. Like, okay. Yeah. How does it come out of the feet?
Doesn't matter. I got to step on them to feel tall, I guess.
Oh,
Oh man,
the
no,
king from 300.
right? I love kids too. It's one of those things. Um, it's funny because I distinctly remember my daughter, my youngest daughter, number 3, being in like all of your wedding photos. By the way,
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry about that. Still,
Oh, those are amazing pictures.
I'm glad you like them. Glad you
She
like
was a
that,
prominent key of the whole photo shoot.
dude. Still sorry, but all right, let's get back to the playtest handbook, man.
Oh yeah, dude.
So one of the things we talked about was this is actually a D6 system. You need 3d6.
Yep, 3D6 system. I think that's pretty cool. There's a few other games that do that, right? I can't
Yep.
remember them top of my head.
I know that D6 is really popular with the Star Wars game. A lot of people play.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
So, yeah, that is one of them. And also, I want to say one of their older systems that they use has a D6 system. I think they tried that one other time, and it was pretty decent. I don't remember the exact name of that one. I want to say it was Marvel Superhero. No, that's the TSR. I don't remember which one it is. I remember the cover of the book. I could actually tell you what the cover of the book looked like before I can tell you the name of the rules. But that was also D6, and your primary dice rolling for resolution was you would roll your D6s against your opponent's D6s, and it was generally more successes was a win for you, and more successes for them was a loss for you. Not a horrible system. Just use it out of a dice pool. Not too bad. This
Yeah.
one seems to be a little bit more straightforward. I like that.
I do think with this one, with certain skill checks and ability checks, there's like a target number, like a DC you're going to have to hit as well,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is kind of cool.
That's what it looks like. As I was flipping through, the one thing that caught me right immediately was falling damage, because I seem to deal that a lot on accident to people who fall in all of my games. And that stood at 1d6 falling damage for every so many feet. So, not so bad.
That's not so bad. I feel that's realistic enough. You are superheroes at the wall. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ah, here it is. Yeah. Challenging. Challenging. Target number is established by rank, and rank in the system is your level. So your
Okay.
character level is your rank. So let's say you're level 5. A challenging TN is what they're abbreviating it. I'm just going to say DC still because that's just how my brain works.
I get
But
it.
if, for a level 5, it's a 19. So I think that's just kind of blanketed across, and maybe DM's discretion to kind of upcharge it if need be. But I think it's cool. You got this like easy chart you can kind of fall back on.
Yep.
It's not like, oh well, it's a adamantium chest you're trying to unlock there. It's gonna be a bit harder. Let's
Right.
find out the DC on this. Hold on a second, 15 minutes.
Right. So being able to streamline that really helps.
I think so.
What I'm actually looking at the striker archetype right now, and you had mentioned level 5. Some of the things I notice here is that now their stat abilities. We had to chuckle at this: might, agility, resilience, vigilance, ego, and logic.
Which
So-
spells out Marvel.
Yes, it does. A little cheesy, but it's fun.
That's fun. That's awesome.
It is.
Can't do that with DC Comics.
So at level 5, we're looking at things like their abilities have a plus and then a set number. So like might on a striker at level 5 is plus 6, 15. And we still have to dig into all the rules and figure out exactly what does what. But what I noticed
Yeah.
is that under fight damage, you have 3d6 plus 7, and ranged damage is just 3d6. So that same sort of static setup is almost a cross between their power ranks, which is TSR's classic Marvel superheroes.
Okay.
that was when you took a rank in something, your rank had a set number and you did a set amount of damage. And here it seems like it's still set up like we're familiar in rolling dice from D20 or other D6 systems with a set number. It's not too bad. I like that it's pretty easy. It tells you what it is. It tells you how much health you get. Not at every level. It tells you what your health is at that level.
Right.
So they did streamline it, which seems pretty on par with most of the games that are out today, such as Pathfinder's 2nd edition and Wizards of the Coast's Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
Yep.
That streamlined feel to it seems to be onboarding a lot of people. And honestly, it was just a matter of time before this game not only was released, but conceptualized because of the popularity that tabletop RPGs are gaining.
Oh, for sure, man. For
In fact,
sure.
I want to say this was announced sometime mid last year, and we talked about it in one of our other episodes briefly about how we were excited that it was coming out.
Yep. I want to say when we talked about it in our episode, I pre-ordered it right then and there.
Nice.
But yeah, from what I can tell, it looks like it's a setup where you kind of pick your archetype, like what type of hero you are, and
Right.
then you pick your power, and that'll dictate what abilities you are given to level up as you progress.
Or what
But
abilities that you can choose.
yeah, what abilities you can choose and whatnot. But there's also utilities. Utility powers can be granted to everybody. So
Okay.
as long as you have a point to spend, anyone can have XYZ in the utility department, which is cool because I feel it makes it easier for you to make a unique hero, not just make another Spider-Man.
Right. And that's one of those big things. And to
Dude,
kind
I
of
can't wait to make unique hero in this system. I can't wait.
one of the unique things here is that, for example, under powers in chapter 8, they have, I'm reading banging heads right now. And this is where the character takes 2 nearby enemies and slams them into each other. You have to have the prerequisite of a power set, either martial arts or super strength. So that seems like it's only the only power set that it's attached to. You cannot take it if you're in something else.
Right, makes sense.
Your prereq is actually none, so other than having access to it from the power set. It's a standard attack action, instant duration. So we're using terminology that we're all familiar with from D&D or Pathfinder and a lot of other games. And then it gives the effect. The character makes 1 fight attack and compares it to the agility defense of 2 enemies within reach. If the attack fails against either foe, it fails entirely. If the attack is a success against both foes, each enemy takes fight, health, bashing damage. If the attack is a fantastic success, each enemy is also knocked prone. So the one thing in there is if it's a fantastic success, means that you have to hit that DC that you were talking about.
Right.
So that's also very similar to how they did the power ranks on the old classic heroes by if you succeeded by a larger margin and you were in yellow or red. I'm sorry, if you were different light or dark shades of green and red, it was high success. If you were light green and yellow, usually failed, etc.
Oh yeah, TSR had the color gradient thing going on.
Yeah, it used to be
Yeah.
hard. And I like that they kept it. They simplified it to what's technically more of a today standard.
Yeah, modernized it a bit, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that. We're both flipping through the book right now. What are some of the other things that are kind of catching your eye?
What I kind of want to bring up is the archetypes themselves. I think that'd be a fun thing to disclose to the audience who hasn't had the book yet.
Yeah.
So these archetypes, these are the core bones of your character is what I'm getting out of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the thing that you're going to specialize in doing. Not, I kind of want to say it's kind of like a class in like your D&D or your Pathfinder, but it's more open still because the powers is really what kicks things into gear.
Sure,
So,
but I would say that the archetypes are exactly what a class is in other games.
I think it really is. It really is. It doesn't have as much as you would get from a class, but it gives you what a class naturally supposed to have, anyways.
Right. And I think the thing is, like you had said, the archetypes as classes essentially open up power sets. So you're not just creating another hero that already exists with a different name. You're technically
Right.
creating a new hero with variances. And we all know Marvel is famous for essentially adding variances to their most successful heroes and their
Yeah.
villains, nonetheless. So, what are our current archetypes? We have 6 of them, right?
Yep. We have blasters,
Like Cyclops,
bruisers. Yeah.
right?
Blasters like Cyclops,
Bru-
Hawkeye.
Bruisers are like the Hulk,
Yep. Colossus, Juggernaut, Hulk. Genius. That's like your Doctor Doom or Black Panther's sister, Shuri.
okay. I'm trying to think of
Mr.
another.
Fantastic.
That's kind of where I was going next. Fantastic. Or do you remember Forge from the old 1990s
Oh, X-Men show?
X-Men? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
that show is the best.
Dude, I loved it. It's on Disney Plus. I tried to get my kids to sit down and watch it. My youngest, number 4,
Yeah.
he hasn't into it yet. He likes Spider-Man, but he's not into X-Men.
Too much yellow and blue.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got your polymath or your
Polymath.
polymath. That's
They're,
like your
everything.
Spider-Man, the everyman guy. Yeah, your Iron Man, your Spider-Mans, your Thors. This is like, in my opinion, this is the equivalent to a fighter in Pathfinder. Kind of can fill into what needs to be filled in and be good at it.
Yeah.
A lot of variety, utility to them.
Yeah, I agree. It even says that if you don't see a particular kind of archetype that fits your character concept, try going with a polymath. They're more flexible than other archetypes to make good fits for all sorts of different kinds of characters.
Oh yeah, I definitely can see it just from the bonuses in certain regards, because I think you can choose 2 areas to get bonus in. I think that's cool.
Yep. Now, one thing I'm noticing right quick is we're kind of reading a little bit through this at the same time. I'm going to go back to Bruiser for a second.
Yeah.
It gives us examples like Colossus, the Hulk, and then in parentheses we have Bruce Banner, Juggernaut, Miss Marvel, parentheses again with Kamala Khan, She-Hulk, Tatiana, and The Thing, which none of them have parentheses behind their name.
That is interesting. Why do they do that?
I'm not sure. And what I had noticed was, at first I thought it was, for example, the Hulk. Is he a public hero or is he a secret identity hero? Does everybody know that he's Bruce Banner?
I can see being like that, because everyone knows that Tony Stark is Iron Man,
Right.
but nobody knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Well, now
That's the idea.
Apples and oranges here. Because when we look at the polymath, Captain America is also called out as Steve Rogers. Captain Marvel is called out as Carol Danvers. Iron Man is Tony Stark. But Misty Knight is not called out, but Misty Knight's her name as well. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
Yeah. All right. When it comes to the Spider-Man, I can see why they do a parentheses there, because you got different iterations of Spider-Man.
Yes.
Same with Hawkeye. In Blaster, you got Hawkeye, Clint Barton, and Hawkeye, Kate Bishop. I saw no problem with that. Like, oh, that makes sense. But then, like you caught, they just intermittently call out some people.
Right.
Well, I wonder why. Yeah.
And where I noticed it was actually under the Protector archetype, which next. We haven't gotten to this one yet.
Oh yeah, Protector. That's your Doctor Strange, your Professor X's,
Right.
Kitty Pryde.
They call out the Invisible Woman, which is Sue Storm. And the Fantastic Four are a public group, so their secret identities are known.
Hold on. That's interesting. On your page of Protector, it calls out the Invisible Woman.
Yep, Bishop, Doctor Strange, the Invisible Woman, Karma, Kitty Pryde, Professor X, and Wasp.
Interesting.
You do not have the Invisible Woman?
Oh, I do. I do. I was actually thinking you're going to tell me like they're going to have parentheses there. I was going to be very surprised. I'm like, I don't got parentheses on her.
And well, that's where I caught it initially.
Right, like they should have.
Right, like my first thought was we're calling out people who have public identities. And my thought was when we mentioned Spider-Man, Peter Parker was outed in many
True.
occasions.
Many
So
occasions.
Miles Morales hasn't been outed, but like you had said, I understand why they would separate Miles Morales and Peter Parker. But as I was reading through more of these, we're not getting consistency between them. Like Stryker is the last
Right.
archetype, and hits hard and fast, relying on their reflexes and training to keep them out of harm's way. Obviously,
Daredevil, Matt Murdock. Like that. Why is that called out for?
whereas Iron Fist, Danny Rand,
Yeah.
is
Remember the show? He would not
Uh,
stop saying his name. Every episode I hear this dang name and it annoyed
Season-
me.
season 1. I caught onto it, dude. It was so bad. Like I'm Danny Rand. Like
Yeah,
we
I'm
know
Danny
you are
Rand.
Danny Rand. I haven't actually finished season 2. I'm 2 episodes in, and it wasn't interesting enough for me to keep going. But after I watched Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings, I'd actually like to go back and visit it, see if there are any Easter eggs that go back and forth.
That'd be kind of cool. What I love for them to do is give Iron Fist a soft reboot and give him the justice that he needs, because Iron Fist is a great hero that got sullied with the Netflix adaptation. That's
Yeah,
my opinion.
I agree with that.
I'm Danny Rand.
So Danny Rand. What I'm noticing in the Stryker aspect too is we have Wolverine as Laura Kinney, and
Yeah,
Wolverine,
that's what was that? That's X-23.
I believe so.
Is that
No,
the
I don't
girl
think-
with the claw on her feet as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that that I think so, but I don't actually consider X-23 Wolverine. I don't consider anybody other than Wolverine.
I see what you're saying there. Should be a different name, like Honey Badger.
Whatever. But the reason I view it differently for Wolverine versus Spider-Man is that Spider-Man was a symbol of things to stand up for and a symbol of things to be and aspire to. He simply had spider-themed powers.
Right.
And anybody, as shown, could technically develop those powers and they could take up the mantle of Spider-Man. But Wolverine is not a mantle to take up. It is not a ideology to really
No.
live up to. It is a person who suffers from incredible trauma and a long history of amnesia, a horrible past that spans multiple generations over hundreds of years.
Yep.
He became that character. He was known as the Wolverine. Like he was essentially, I think, as they put it in one of the movies, he was always an animal. They just gave him claws.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that.
to do it again is fine, but as we know that we'll use X-23 for example, they gave X-23. I don't think it's really fair to the Wolverine character to bring another Wolverine in and kind of replace the original Wolverine.
Yeah.
Again, because he wasn't a mantle to replace. He was a loner. He didn't want to be a part of anything. His virtues were pretty loose. His morals were, pretty shady at times. He didn't have qualms about killing. He definitely, he was a mercenary for an extended period of time. He didn't give a shit. So we're talking semantics. That's not even a part of the game. These are things I'm noticing that as a fan, I don't want to say that I'm an elitist because I appreciate what they do with newer characters. However, I think that there are better times and places to replace certain characters and just retool or rename characters.
I agree. I just think it's odd that in the book here, certain heroes have their parentheses real names and other ones don't.
Right.
Like, why not all or none? You know? Like, again, with the Spider-Mans, with the Wolverines, because you got two of them, that makes sense. Hawkeyes, that makes sense. But, like, why Captain America? Like, there's no other Captain America on this list. What? Why?
Right. Now, here's something that's also unusual. again, I just noticed it's Wolverine. Which, by the way, as much as I love Wolverine, he has always been one of my favorite character portrayals in general. Not always my favorite character. I've just always really liked how he's portrayed. But we just have his name Logan. But
Yeah.
they have canonized James Howlett, aka Logan, in everything else.
That's
Weird
right.
fact, by the way, when I was younger, they used to do what these call like Marvel encyclopedias, and the old school Marvel encyclopedias would cover all of Marvel character information from start to that point in time.
Right.
And one of them, I was looking up Wolverine, and his birth name was assumed to be Chris.
Huh.
And I can't find the Marvel encyclopedia anywhere. I think I ended up getting rid of it or got water damaged. I can't find which edition it was. And there are so many different reprintings and everything that they'd retcon them when they printed them again.
Right.
So, kind of lost to the wind right there.
That's an interesting little tidbit, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've personally, I don't want to continue to rant, but I don't like the origin story that they developed for him. The James Howlett story, it doesn't jive with me. I think it could have been better. So,
in another universe.
that's what I keep telling myself. All right.
You know what? Here's the thing. I think the Chris thing. I think this is what's getting you. Mandela effect.
Maybe. Maybe it could be. I don't think about it like that. It's the thing is, I'm the only person who remembers it. Apparently,
that's Mandela effect, bro.
It's not. More people have to remember it. You know what? Here's the deal. If we have audience listeners who are mid-30s or older, you know, if you remember what I'm talking about, the Marvel Encyclopedia, where it talks about Wolverine, and it says that his assumed birth name is Chris, drop us a comment in Facebook or send us a message in Spotify, because I need your support. I swear to God, I need your support on this one. I'm not crazy.
I need vindication.
For sure, guys. And ultimately, that way, if it's the Mandela effect, I have more than just me, because it's got to be a mass remembering of wrong.
Right. Right.
That's not like Looney Tunes versus Looney Tunes. Rob remembers Chris versus James Howlett. So next up on character creation, after you pick your archetype, it looks like you got backstories and traits.
Yeah, this is cool because it kind of gives you a way to pick up your origins. Kind of like your upbringing. Are you an alien? Are you some kind of demigod, a mutant? Kind of gives you a lot of repertoire here on how you got your abilities, and you also can choose your professions. I think this is what you can do when you're not being a superhero, or this is something you can do because you're a superhero. I think that's malleable in that sense.
Well, let's start with the first little bit here, because professions is where it takes off again. Your origins, like you said, alien, etc. Underneath those origin stories, alien, for example, you have Kree or Skrull or Croati, and under gods you have Olympians, Asgardians, and etc. So I think that would really allow you to help pinpoint where you want, and then develop your backstory and profession. Now, your profession, it says characters generally have lives before they gain power. Many of them try to maintain those lives after their world changes. The things that they do are called professions, and they come with a package of traits that the character can pick up from them.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, it is somewhat malleable. You can have it where this is what I was doing before I got bit by the radioactive spider, or what have you.
Now, what I like here, because this is the Playtest handbook, there's a note under profession that says the professions listed here are only a sampling of what will be available in the core rulebook.
Oh, meaning that there's going to be more.
More, and there are going to be potential changes to the existing ones. And
heck yeah.
What I like is that some of them make really cool sense, especially their examples. Like criminal, example is Scott Lang, Storm, Gambit, or scientist is the Hulk or Mr. Fantastic. By the way, spelling out the word Mister is very unusual. Usually, it's just
It
MR.
is weird. Why is it spelled out Mister? I always see Mister Fantastic as being the MR, period.
Yeah, maybe they just wanted to fill up a few extra characters.
Maybe some kind of copyright thing, like, oh, we gotta do this now. The other guy took it.
Right. And that follows us up with traits. Characters' rank determines how many additional traits they can choose, and not all of them are entirely beneficial, it says. Some of
Right.
them, characters of all sorts problems.
To my understanding, with some of these traits, will even say in the description that it's more of a drawback, and they're able to get a new trait to fill in their point pool, which I think is pretty cool. So it's not going to say outright that, oh, this is a drawback, but within these traits, there's going to be drawbacks. And I think that's wonderful because kind of like everyone likes Spider-Man so much, he's able to be humanized at every corner.
Right.
Being the absolute hero without any drawbacks is kind of boring.
Right.
And you get extra traits depending on your rank. And it's kind of, let's see, every 4 ranks you get an extra trait.
No, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. A max of 9 extra traits at rank 25. That's pretty legit.
Oh, for sure. And then looking at it as we move on, these traits, some of them seem really cool. I read one of the last ones here as worship. The character is worshipped by others as a god, which, I mean, obviously that can be fun or bad. They get karma in this, so I wonder how that plays into the idea of karma.
Yeah, that's something I haven't read yet about in this book, is the karma.
Right.
System.
And we jumped right into character creation.
Right.
Why don't you run us through power real quick, and I'll listen. I'll be right back.
All right. He's going to go to the potty. No. All right, so with the powers, man. These power sets. These power sets are how you're going to specialize your character and really get the feel that you want to go for. All these power sets is what is going to tell you what abilities and other special things that you can get as you level up. You're not going to get the whole list right away. So let's go. How many powers do they got here? Quite a bit. Let's go through it. So you got your battle suit. Your battle suit is equivalent to Iron Man or Black Panther. Even has origins that's tied to, like high tech or magic, which is pretty nice. Got your blades, and I'm assuming from the icon of the blades, it's kind of like your Wolverine. Origins being mutant or special training. That's pretty neat because it's malleable in that sense, where it's not tied to one hero or another. It's equivalent of how good Deadpool is with his swords as to Wolverine with his claws. That's nice that they kept it broad enough to where you don't have a huge list and you have to go through, like, all right, what's my guy going to be? Having a bit of this broad malleability is super key to making sure that you can make your unique character and not feel like you're making a carbon copy. You got your cybernetics, you got your firearms, energy control. I really like this one. Energy control has a lot of origins tied to it, so that's like your Captain Marvel all the way up to probably see who else. Maybe a Silver Surfer. That'd be probably a good idea as well if you want to try to do a Silver Surfer type. Probably energy control. Martial arts, that's your Iron Fist. Your Black Panther. You got plasticity. Plasticity is pretty neat. This is like how Mr. Fantastic would stretch his arms, and also how Groot will make his vine bridge. It's the same little components there. So I think they have the pre-generated sheet for Groot, and he has plasticity. I think that'd be a really fun one to try to utilize for a character. I can imagine right now all the fun shenanigans you can get into with a character's body being able to be stretched, shaped, and twisted to impossible ways. Shield bearer, of course, that's your Captain America. That's pretty legit. Spider powers, your super strength, tactical mastery. That's pretty neat. Tactical mastery, I'd imagine, is kind of like your Iron Man with Jarvis. I feel that'd be the same equivalent there. And then you got weather control, so you can be like Storm. Now, I want to say, not certain because we haven't read the book enough to figure out how character creation works. But I'm curious as to how many powers you can have. Let's see. When you create your own hero, your character's rank tells you how many power sets and powers you can pick. For example, a 5th rank character can access up to 5 powers from up to 2 different power sets. If a character doesn't use a power set, they can pick an extra power instead. For example, if a 5th rank character only picks powers from 1 power set instead of 2, they can pick 6 powers instead of 5. That's the cap. You can only have 2 power sets at max, is what I'm getting from this.
Now, 2 power sets, for that to seem applicable, for example, they would have to be pretty wide or provide plenty of variance. Otherwise, you're going to be limited. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I feel that'd be a bit more of the strategic side of building a character. You don't want to feel you're wasting potential, essentially.
Right. Now, as we're going on, have you covered the utility powers? I'm sorry I had to disappear. I had greasy chicken and buffet pizza for dinner, and I'm off of medication that, well, doesn't sit right. Readjusting.
Hey, man, body is a strange beast.
Sure.
Yeah, I was going over the powers, and I was curious about the power sets and powers. I think that's pretty cool. If you want to specialize in one power set, you can get an extra power that you can acquire in the set.
Okay.
Or you just get a max of 2 power sets, and depending on your rank, that'll decide how many powers you can get from each set.
Now, that's where I'm looking at a potential loophole, depending on how it works out, because we're looking at the general rules for character creation, but we're not actually building a character just yet.
Right.
Now, utility powers specifically states that powers that don't have a listed power set are called utility powers. These don't count against the number of power sets a character can pick from. So therefore, any character with powers can select and use them freely.
Yep. Yeah, these are the powers that are free range.
So if I can select only 2 power sets, and these don't count against the number of power sets I can pick from, I'll pick my 2 and utility powers and select all of them.
Well, I think that depends on your rank and how many powers you can get.
Sure.
So let's say level 5, rank 5, you get 5 powers. So that means you can get 2 powers in one set, 2 powers in another set, pick up a utility power.
Potentially. They don't count against the number of power sets. Utility powers is the power set. So you can always pull from utility powers. And any character with powers can select and use them freely. So therefore, with X amount of power sets, I can still just load up on all utility powers. All of them. Not all at the same time. Like I can't make a second character with everything here on top.
Right. at a high enough level, I can definitely see a build of someone acquiring all utility powers and spending the rest of their points on getting powers within their power sets for sure.
Right, right. And so we have a list of powers, and then right here at the power durations come in 5 standard types. At the end of that, we have another note. The powers listed here are only a sampling of what will be available in the core rulebook.
I like the notes. I like that because that just makes me want to get the core rule book knowing there's going to be more.
Same. And what I really like, I know that you don't have a lot of experience in mutants and masterminds, but it seems like a lot more of this thus far is really geared towards how mutants and masterminds had played out. With
Well,
Mutants
that's
and
weird that you
Masterminds-
say that because I felt very confused with Mutants and Masterminds when I first got my hands on it. Whereas
Right.
this, I feel like I'm catching along nicely. It
Well,
could be because I was so greenhorned when I first played that game. I don't know.
it's absolutely possible, and the big difference here is that it's set up in a much easier to understand way that you're familiar with when it comes to creation. Whereas Mutants and Masterminds, you had X amount of power points to spend in powers, and
Oh,
then
right.
how many ever points you put in particular powers would amplify its ability to do things, or make it stronger, or increase distance and range, etc.
Right.
And whereas your ability scores also increase, that maxes out your powers, stunts, tricks, traits, and abilities as you continue going on. For example, in the next page or two, they go over power lists. And essentially, if you're familiar with video games and selecting power trees or
Yeah. It's a skill tree.
right, that's exactly what this is here. It kind of tells you what flows where for what.
You know what?
Some of them,
I like how they did this skill tree setup because not to go off tangent here. Sorry, did I cut you off?
oh, it's fine.
I was thinking about my tabletop RPG idea that I've been cultivating for a while. I'm kind of keeping somewhat, under wraps and secret. But I was thinking of the same way. Like I'm gonna have to make this whole thing into like a skill tree setup. The only way for someone to understand it, but that's too video gamey. But the way
Right,
they did it, it makes sense.
right.
So I might just copy this.
Well, you can copy the idea for sure. And what I'm noticing is that certain power sets, the power lists, are really heavy. Like firearms is much heavier than blades, for
Oh
example.
yeah, lot
Um,
more going on.
yep, martial arts is way heavier than anything else so far that we've seen.
Even plasticity is a lot going on. Wow.
Right. So there are a lot of things going on that go into this. And as we talk about this, people don't really have the visual in front of them. But for example, spider powers, because we've mentioned Spider-Man a few times. You get your jump 1 at rank 5, jump 2, you need jump 1, and you need rank 10. Jump 3 requires jump 2 and rank 15. That's just for your jump in spider powers,
Right.
which goes back to you can have X amount of powers that you need to continuously build up. So all of these powers have to be taken in order to get that full set.
Yeah, there's prerequisites. You can't just grab them.
Right. Which means that what I'm looking at when I look at the spider powers is this is Peter Parker, because I don't see any Miles Morales' abilities, but this is Peter Parker.
Yeah, I think Miles Morales, he's geared toward a couple other things.
Yeah. And
Let's
looking
see.
at plasticity, like you had mentioned, this we're looking at is Mr. Fantastic.
Right, and actually, let's see. Da. Yeah, the way you can shape your body as well, like
Yep.
coiling crush, body sheet, body sphere. Uh, this also works very well with Groot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's really cool because it's broad enough that it's not so like geared into one person. Like,
Yep.
sure, first thing you're gonna think of is all Mr. Fantastic, but doesn't mean that you're making Mr. Fantastic.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, the powers continues. The powers is probably the biggest chapter. It gives a definition and a description of each particular power, which is great because that's really what a lot of people like to read, and because it's also one of the biggest impacts in the game when considering combat being a big part of superhero media. It's the kind of thing that has to have a lot of rules. You have to your power set, your prereqs, your actions, your duration, range, and your effect.
Yep.
Each of those things is included. It's very similar to how spells are set up in Pathfinder and D&D. We're familiar with that. And then after powers, we get into the Marvel heroes. These are our pre-gen characters.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was very interesting when I was looking through the pre-gen characters because I was kind of thinking reverse engineering. Like I go through like how do they make him? Okay, that's how they did that. Okay, how do they make that guy? All right, that gives me a better idea on how I can make my own person.
Right. Right. And it seems like average rank is about 15.
Yeah, I want to say in the beginning as well, they said that the rank system can be determined in a thematic way as well. Like rank 5 is your Luke Cage, rank 10 is your Daredevil, rank 15 is your Spider-Man, and then I think they were saying 25 is your Captain Marvel because you're in the you're in the galaxy, you're flying around.
Right.
I thought it was very interesting how they kind of broke it down in that way, so you kind of get a better visual. Because it makes sense that if you're a high rank, why are you still the neighborhood good guy? You should be out in space, saving the universe.
Right. Right. And then as we're talking about ranks here, right towards the end in chapter 10 for the narrator section, we're talking about working ranks. It says if you're playing a game with the existing Marvel characters, you don't have to worry about how the characters are going to gain ranks. After their origin stories are complete, most Marvel characters are already at the highest rank they can be. Spider-Man, for instance, is never going to be as powerful as Thor, no matter how many adventures he goes on. I'm just going to read a little bit from each of these chapters. So we talk about starting ranks. Before you start your game, you should chat with your players about what rank they want their characters to start at. Well, it seems natural to start at rank 1. There's no reason you can't as easily start at rank 5, 10, or anyone else that you like.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing through a published adventure, it might describe itself as being for 3 to 5 heroes of rank 10. So we're used to that, level adventure for X amount of party members of X level.
Right.
The other conversation you should have is about what rank cap your character should be. So if you're planning on running a campaign that sticks mostly to one neighborhood in New York City, the character shouldn't be above rank 5, for example. And then mixing ranks. It's easiest to play with a group of characters that are all at similar ranks. You don't have to worry about the villains being too tough for some and too easy for others. The heroes can just mix and match foes as they prefer. However, there are a lot of examples of superhero teams that feature characters of different ranks. The
Avengers.
are such team. Yeah, the Avengers are such a team, for example, and they work fantastically well together. To make it work in the game, it's up to the narrator to come up with challenges that are suitable for characters of various ranks.
Oh, for sure.
So it covers everything we're familiar with, simplifies it in awesome ways. What do you
I
have?
like.
Go ahead.
Go on. Go on.
I was going to say, what do you have on first impressions? I mean, what's it really do for you?
First impressions, it makes you very excited and stoked because it's just enough of new flavor and variety that it makes my brain like explode for it. That makes any sense.
Absolutely.
But there's enough there that I can catch on and roll with it and not feel so new to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's simple enough. It's written in a very well manner where I'm picking it up as I'm going along. I can't wait to play it. I think it's great. I
feels natural.
love the rank idea. Now I still feel they should just call it level and not have to fiddle with it. But I like the idea that it's a game where you don't have to stress about leveling up if you are at where you want to be at.
Right.
Like in Pathfinder, you're always going to want to level up.
Yeah.
But you're never going to be like, hey, you know what? I want to play as a level 5 guy. I like the build. I'm just going to keep it here and just play the game. That never happens.
Right.
In this, it allows you to do that. If
I
you
agree.
want to play a Spider-Man rank 10 guy, you can still have fun and not have to be like, oh, I gotta level up, man. What's going on here?
Right, right. But playing a Spider-Man rank 25 guy might be even more fun.
That's something I really want to think about too. Is at rank 25, where's the caps? Where am I going to get stunted at? Is it going to get to a point where I have no more powers to get, and I just have to fill up on utility powers? I'm very, very curious. I really want to really dive in and make a character for our website as well. I want to make a handful, actually. It'd be really fun.
Yeah.
Like make my own Avengers team.
And now that's what you were talking about. And we're getting towards the end of our episode here. We got a few minutes left. But you were talking about what you wanted to do is for a character spotlight, actually kind of make a character for the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game.
Yes.
And I would really like to see what you come up with. And we're thinking, maybe in the next week or so, we'll see a character.
Yeah. If I can get cranking on this and learn the system, definitely, probably not the next episode, but the episode after that, you're going to hear about it, man.
Good. I look forward to it. And, well, I know that we covered this particular game today, which I'm really thankful for. It's something I've been looking forward to. I've been talking a lot about trying to find a really neat kind of Nordic Viking style game.
Yes.
And I think I've been pronouncing it wrong because I'm semi-dyslexic. I think I pronounced it as Vaccine, but it's Vaesen.
Vaesen.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's how you say Vaesen.
Yeah, the Nordic horror role-playing game by Free League Publishing. I just got the book today. And I want to take a deeper dive into it in one of our next episodes, primarily because it is much different from what we have experienced before. Also uses a dice pool of D6s, 10 of them, if I remember correctly. From what I read.
Wow.
And also, there is something very interesting that I want to kind of lay upon you when you hear about it.
Oh, dude, I can't wait.
Good. That's coming up in one of the next few episodes. I know that we talked about Marvel all day today. I don't think we need to bog it down a little bit with the Monster Spotlight. You had one, I'm sure.
Yeah, I had one, I'm sure, but that'd be for the next one.
Good. Let's save it because after I go through this next book more in depth with you, that might change your mind a little bit on the Monster Spotlight. We might push it off, especially if you have your Marvel character rolled out.
Oh yeah, man. We'll have to wait and see.
Good deal. Guys, thanks for tuning in yet again on this episode of Epic Table Games audio show. Remember, let us know what you think about the Marvel Encyclopedia character question. If anybody out there remembers Wolverine's potential birth name is Chris, log in on Facebook at facebook.com/epictablegames. Post there, post in our group, come to the website, send us an email, do something. We need your support. Tell everybody about us, guys. We need it now more than ever.
Oh yes, we do, man. Stay super. Is that good? Is that a good call off? Stay super.
Excelsior.
Oh, you some Excelsior.
Right. For all the true believers. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Epic Table Games. Fairy tales, dragons, tales, twice. Nights, roll, nights, fantastical night. Fairy tales, dragons, tales, twice. Nights, roll, nights, fantastical night. Make way for the paladins. Yeah. Make way for the paladins. Yeah. Epic Table Games. Make way for the paladins. Yeah. Make way for the paladins. Yeah. Epic Table Games. Thank you for listening to the Epic Table audio show with the paladins of the podcast, Rob and Potato. Until next time, stay in touch on Facebook at Epic Table Games and online at epictablegames.com. Yeah. Epic Table Games. Yeah.